Anyway, should we head to the United States? Donald Trump has returned to the campaign trail overnight, just a day after a jury in New York ordered him to pay £65 million for defaming columnist E. Jean Carroll.
And as the Republican primaries continue to get underway, Donald Trump was sure to take aim at his two biggest rivals, Nikki Haley and Joe Biden.
Everybody, we're beating her by a lot, but we're beating Biden. She can't beat Biden. The polls are showing, the most recent polls, because she doesn't have Republican support. You know what she doesn't have? She doesn't have MAGA. She doesn't have MAGA. There's no MAGA.
There's just no MAGA.
Let's talk to political analyst at the Foreign Policy Research Institute, Ronald Granieri. I mean, look, nothing keeps him down, Ronald.
Apparently not. He is to a certain extent unsinkable. I would say, going back to your earlier conversation, if you don't like things where people are nasty to each other, you probably don't want to spend too much time listening to a Donald Trump campaign speech. He doesn't have a lot of nice things to say about pretty much anybody else except himself. But he is clearly decided that his legal troubles actually tend to help him with his strongest supporters because they present him then as a victim. And he is coming out swinging against Governor Haley and against President Biden.
I mean, there's no doubt he is a brilliant campaigner, isn't he? He always manages to boil it down to a slogan, a phrase that sticks.
Yes, it definitely does. The big question has been, and that goes back to the result back in New Hampshire last week, is he has a very strong grip on the people who already support him. The question is whether these slogans are catching on with anybody who doesn't already support him, which is what, of course, he would need to win the general election. But he has a formula that he is happy to stick to, and he's quite solid at it.
Yeah, it's all about the base, as they say, with Donald Trump.
As they say.
But this is the problem, isn't it? In terms of, he's got that base, but is Biden or the Democrats generally, are they doing enough to keep their base on side?
I mean, that is the question, and it's not very clear, especially because parts of that base are pulling in multiple directions. Right, the war in Gaza doesn't help. With certain aspects of the Democratic base, certain younger leftist supporters of the Democratic Party are generally pro-Palestinian, or at least critical of Israel, and so this is creating a little bit of a problem for Biden. The big thing is one gets the impression that the Biden administration has just been waiting until it's clear that it is just the two of them, and then Biden will probably fall back. You talk about a slogan, Biden's famous slogan, "Do not compare me to the Almighty, compare me to the alternative." And I think he thinks that's going to be enough. It remains to be seen whether it is.
And do we know if Joe Biden is going to run alongside Kamala Harris again, or is he looking for a different running mate? Because I gather that the Biden family and Kamala Harris do not get on at all.
There are all sorts of stories about them not getting along, although it's difficult to imagine him dropping Kamala Harris because of the parts of the base that still support her. He's using her as a surrogate, especially to the more the progressive elements of his own base. So on issues such as abortion, for example, where Biden is much more moderate on these questions, he sent Vice President Harris to Wisconsin to speak at a rally around the time of the anniversary of Roe versus Wade. It's the problem is if you drop your running mate, it looks either churlish or desperate. And I think that Biden is, for better or for worse, right, that he is locked in on this. It's not possible to make any changes.
It's not very exciting, is it, really, when you just have to sort of swing back to your default position? However, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, it's an interesting... I'll tell you what, I find American politics very odd, frankly. But the idea that every time there's a presidential election, the vote is pretty much 50-50.
It is.
It's just a case of who edges it slightly.
It's been like that for many
forever.
years, hasn't it? Yeah.
So you always end up with half the population who are really unhappy.
Really don't like it.
Because it gets so polarised. I don't know how you change that. Whenever there's been a third candidate, They never do very well.
I even heard that apparently the Biden family, particularly, I suppose the Biden administration, dislike Kamala Harris so much that that's why he's running again, because he doesn't want to hand it to her.
Is that... Do we believe that?
There's a new book out about it, apparently, which I must get into because I like that sort of thing.
Is it written by a Republican?
Oh, I wonder.
I mean, this is the thing. I don't know what to believe anymore about any of it. I really don't. And yesterday, of course, we were talking to Roger Gewolb, who was here in the studio, who knows Trump. And what I found particularly interesting was he said a little bit on air, but he was saying more off air, saying who you see there is not Donald Trump.
He's putting on a show.
The whole thing is an act, apparently. Now, is that true? And if it is true, what does that mean? I mean, I don't know. Roger did say next time Trump was in town, I'll take you along to meet him, and then you will assess yourself.
That would be fun, wouldn't it?
So
he is somebody you'd want to meet, I think, because he would be so interesting.
I have met him once, very briefly, before he was president.
Yeah, when he was just millionaire
Donald
Donald Trump.
In Trump Towers, having a drink in Trump Towers, and he walked in and said hello. Hi! And he seemed very nice then, but I mean, it's...
He pops up in movies as well, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
He's in Home Alone.
He's in Home Alone, and there's a few things he's in. I watched
Because
the
he
other day he
was
was
such
in.
a huge celebrity, I suppose.
Yeah, anyway.
Astonishing.